David Chalian right now. David, tell us more about what we know about Warnock and Walker voters as we're awaiting the first results in this runoff.
Yeah, Jake, we did a deep dive into the November 8th election, so there wasn't an exit poll about today's electorate, but we wanted to take a look at the Walker and Warnock coalitions because it sort of sets the stage for what each campaign is looking for in their turnout today. So back in the November exit poll, what you see here among Warnock voters, look at them by race. This is the Warnock coalition. 36% of Warnock's voters on November 8th were white. 52% of the Warnock voters were African American, 8% Latino. Take a look at the Warnock voters by age. Okay, so young voters, 18 to 29-year-old, made up 16% of Warnock's vote. 25% of Warnock's voters were 30 to 44, 38% 45 to 64, 21% were senior citizens. Let's look at the reverse now with Herschel Walker. So among Walker voters, 87% of Walker voters were white. Only 5% of Walker voters were black, 5% of Walker voters Latino. He's obviously looking to get that white vote turnout since it's a huge part of his coalition. And look here among age, the best category here for Walker, 45 to 64-year-olds made up 44% of Walker voters. Nearly 30% were 65 and older. He's looking for a whiter, older electorate to show up today on Election Day. And then, of course, we asked the importance of party control in the Senate to your vote. Among Warnock voters back in November, 74% of Warnock voters said it's very important. It was true for both candidates, but look at this. Walker voters, even more of them thought that party control was very important to their vote. 82% of Walker voters said which party controls the Senate was very important to their vote, and that, of course, is an argument taken away in this runoff. They don't have that because we know Democrats will control the Senate.
Let's go back to Pamela Brown. She's at our voting desk waiting for the first votes to drop. Pamela, what specifically are you watching for?
Well, we're watching the four largest counties in the state. I want to take a closer look at them. As you see here, Cobb, DeKalb, Fulton, and Gwinnett, all in the Atlanta area, and when we might start to see results tonight. That is key. So right now, homing in on Cobb County right now, as you see right here, having some issues there with the tablet, but in Cobb County, they expect the first vote report around 8:15 p.m., and those will likely be early in-person votes. Then they expect to update their vote totals around every 45 minutes from there. And then you want to go over to DeKalb. And DeKalb, there's no estimate on when we're going to see their first results, but they will first report early in-person votes, followed by mail ballots, and then Election Day votes. And then heading over to Fulton County, that's where we just heard from Diane. The first vote is expected between 8 and 9 p.m. But as she said, they could come in earlier. So we're waiting to see that. We'll see early in-person votes first and then Election Day votes. They expect to update their reports every 30 minutes or so. And then in Gwinnett, another large county there in the Atlanta area, the first vote report will include the early in-person and most of the mail ballots. They expect Election Day vote reports to come in between 8:30 and 9 p.m. with updates every 15 to 20 minutes. And just a reminder for you, in the election last month, Georgia officials counted 99% of votes by 2 a.m., and that was all statewide races. So tonight, just one race. So hopefully an indicator that we will get results soon. Jake?
Let's go to David Chalian now at the Battleground desk. David, give us more perspective on the votes that are in so far.
Yeah, so here is the state of play at the moment. You see Raphael Warnock with 539,822 votes. Herschel Walker, 435,004 votes. We think about 35% of the overall vote has been tabulated and is represented here. But here's what's important to pay attention to. How much of this vote that is in is that early vote that you and John are talking about, that pre-election vote, early in person, by mail vote? Well, right now our estimate is that 97% of all the votes you're seeing are early vote, pre-election vote. And we know that tends to favor the Democrat. What do we expect that to be at the end of the night in terms of the overall share? Well, we think the early vote, the pre-election vote, is only going to make up 55%. A slim majority of voters in this runoff will have cast their vote early, is our estimate. But again, right now, 97% of the votes you're looking at are early. That's going to come down to 55% as an overall share. When it does, that could benefit Herschel Walker if indeed he gets his Election Day turnout operation at the level that the campaign is looking for.
now at the Battleground desk with some information about the votes that we're seeing out of Cobb County.
Yeah, Jake. So as you and John were talking about Cobb County earlier, some votes came in, and it was a much larger vote total than we anticipated. And so we did some double checking, and with the system, the National Election Pool that provides the vote counting that you're seeing all night long to all the broadcast networks, what we discovered is there was a reporting error. It's a human being process here. So the reporter on the ground mistakenly reported the wrong numbers. Now, you and John at the wall have the correct Cobb County numbers. You'll see a lower vote total overall than anticipated because we have double checked all of these numbers to make sure what is now in our system is indeed the Cobb County total that has been reported. And we just wanted to be transparent and clear with everyone at home who was tracking the vote while you guys were talking about Cobb County. That error in reporting from on the ground in Cobb County, again, feeds into the system that feeds these vote reports to all of the broadcast networks. That has now been corrected, and you have the current Cobb County vote total in the wall there, guys.
We're exceeding what he did. But let's wait for a little bit more of that vote to come in, because I want to go to Pamela Brown now, who's at the voting desk, who has some new reporting. Pamela.
All right, so I'm learning from officials I've been speaking with on the phone today. In Gwinnett and Cobb counties there in the Atlanta area, all advanced in-person voting has been reported in both of those counties, according to the officials I've been speaking with. Now, in Gwinnett in particular, 24 out of 156 precincts have been reported. So what happens is the poll managers, they bring the card to the main area, and then they're pushed through. The numbers are pushed through. So still a lot of votes are weighing on for those who came out and voted today on Election Day. And when you look at Cobb County, as I said, all in-person early votes, they have been pushed through. Now what is left are the day of votes, so those who came to the polls today, and mail-in ballots as well. I'm told it's a smaller number of mail-in ballots because, of course, the shortened window for the runoff voting. But that is the situation there in Cobb County. And, of course, as we know, as we've been talking about, in Cobb County, they have until December 9th to count any ballots that came in by 7 p.m. today.
At the Battleground desk.
Jake, we're going to try to break down the vote here by voting method. Okay, so what we've done here, if you look, what you see is that if you look at just mail vote, that is an overwhelmingly favorable category for Raphael Warnock. He's winning it by 30 percentage points. And there's still, look here, 23.6% uncounted mail votes. Now, we think mail is the smallest portion of the vote overall. But let me add in now this early in-person vote. Here is a critical vote for Warnock. He's leading the early in-person vote, much of what we see in the vote boards that you're looking at with John, by 9.4%. How much of that is left to count? Well, most of it is counted. Only about 9.5% of that early in-person vote is left to be counted, but that is a good category for Warnock here. And again, I just want to say, if you add up both the early in-person and the mail, we think that's a majority of the vote. We expect that pre-election vote to be about 55% of the overall vote when the votes are counted. Those are strong Warnock categories. But here's the thing. The Election Day vote, Herschel Walker is currently winning by 32.8 percentage points. How much is left to be counted? We are still waiting on roughly 64% of the Election Day vote statewide. Now, I just want to say, let me highlight Walker here. If you look at that lead, 32.8% that Walker currently has in the Election Day vote, if you look back in November, Walker won the Election Day vote by about 15 points. So right now, that is a much bigger margin of victory, meaning it's mostly rural, deep Republican areas that is giving him that big margin. This is why, as you guys are saying, we have to wait to see what that Election Day vote looks like from those big populous Democratic counties in the Atlanta area to see if that margin of victory for Walker narrows, or if he can keep this big Election Day vote victory that may help him keep this 0.2% current lead that he has in the race, guys.
Let's go to Pamela Brown right now, who is at the voting desk. Pamela, what's the latest?
Well, there's a lot of focus on the counties in the Atlanta area, and for good reason, given how tight this race is. And I just spoke to an official in Cobb County there, and I'm told around 76,000 votes are still outstanding, day of votes. That means those people who went to the polls today there in Cobb County, those votes are still outstanding. So we're still expecting a pretty large amount from there, and there's about 12,000 or so outstanding votes from mail-in ballots as well. Now, I asked this source when we're going to find out more, when more votes will drop from there. And this person said as soon as they drive back from the polling areas with the memory cards, they're plugged in and uploaded into the system. So we'll just have to wait and see. But it is certainly getting down to the wire now. And I just also talked to Gabriel Sterling, the election official there on the ground that we've been talking to throughout the night. And he said after 10 o'clock, this is when we're going to be getting a better picture now of the outstanding votes in these urban areas in the Atlanta area, and also learn more about when we're going to get to find out what those votes are.